go to New Zealand, and you're based in LA, you're a little closer than everyone. Which you really can't say that about a lot of things. Hawaii and New Zealand. We all know that New Zealand was put on the map by a movie 20 years ago, Lord of the Rings. Right? I remember seeing that movie, and the next piece of information that came out about that movie was that nothing is computer generated. That is all real landscape, and it knocked our socks off. And that's why you go to New Zealand, to experience literally mountains and ocean and beach on an epic scale. It really, your heart overflows because you can't believe you're on a beach so wide and big and no one else is on it, maybe except two other people. I'm on this beach, it's called People's Beach. I'm on the top of the South, so at the top of the South Island, the first thing you notice when you go to plan a trip to New Zealand is like, oh, there's two islands. It's one country, two islands, all right. Top of the South is where a lot of the adventure is, especially where we're located. And this beach has a wonderful story. It actually went up for sale on the international market. And the man that I'm standing with started a crowdfunding site. And in 3 weeks, 10% of all New Zealanders contributed. They raised close to $3 million, and they bought that beach for themselves. So it's called the People's Beach, and everybody has access to it. They didn't want a beach all of a sudden to be owned by a property or some of them that would close it down and make it private. So that speaks to the people who are there in New Zealand. The other thing you do when you're in New Zealand is you experience its wine. I'm sure anyone of you who love Sauvignon Blanc. So much of it comes from Marlborough County. That's where I am. And we featured the only Maori to actually own a vineyard in all of New Zealand. This is Hazley McDonald. And his family has owned the land that he grows vineyards on, vines on, for over 800 years. They have farmed that land. It goes back that far. And his family, he said, they've been cattle farmers, they've been sheep farmers, and I asked him why he moved to wine, and he said because wine doesn't bite. But you sit there on his property, and look at those mountains behind me are fantastic. In front of us is the ocean. I mean, it was just a comparable landscape. The other thing we did, and you saw it in the open there, is we went to Marlborough Sounds, and just again, pristine, gorgeous land and water. It looks so remote, no one's there, but that is the mail boat, and it has been in operation for over 100 years, delivering mail to the people who live in the outposts of life. Sometimes they live in small communities of like 14 homes. Other times they're completely alone. And this mail boat has serviced these people. It literally brings them their mail, and as a person on the boat, you can get on the boat, you can help hand out the mail. You can meet the neighbors, you can take their mail, you take their recycling. And so it's just this wonderful little bit of everyday life in another part of the world that is absolutely extraordinary. The last thing we did in New Zealand that has to be done is something Lord of the Ringing, right? We did 2 episodes in New Zealand for season 2, and I didn't do anything for Lord of the Rings, and people were very upset at me. So I'm like, I can't make that mistake again. So here I am on Mount Olympus, what's called the Hand of God. And the only way to get there is by helicopter. And it was a famous scene in Lord of the Rings. The Rivendell, I forget, but they're having breakfast and they're attacked by black crows. This is where they had that scene. Again, you get there to the top and you only hear silence, and then you hear this other noise, and you're like, what is that noise? And it's the sound of waterfalls. It's just a fantasy location. We had, taking us there, was Reed Helicopters. They're the only helicopter company allowed to land on the side of a mountain. You want to say, I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, there's just nowhere to park a helicopter. He's like, actually, there's places for 6 helicopters, and he would know. I'm with his son, Paul Reed, but his father, Bill Reed, this is a great story, is Sir Peter Jackson's private helicopter pilot. And he did all the pre-pro with Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings. And Peter Jackson was already there, and they were already filming, and they already left this area when Bill Reed was flying over, and he saw this. And if you see, as that helicopter is landing, all the stones are smooth. They're rubbed, just totally like they're round. And if you look around the other mountains, no other formations are like this. So it's just something completely unique. And so he calls throughout my life. You have to see it. You're going to love it. And Peter Jackson says, I've already shot that location. I can't go back. We're at a new location in New Zealand. He's like, no, Peter, you really need to see this. So Peter Jackson gets in the helicopter, sees it. He says, you're absolutely right. They scrapped a scene that where they were at. They brought 200 crew members back to this mountain. And this helicopter company transported 200 crew every single day for 2 weeks. And they shot on the side of this mountain. Phenomenal. So you know you're in good hands. Now we're going to do something